What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Irony of Gaming. And today we're going to be doing a counter case recap. Now, you're probably wondering, what is that exactly? Well, I'm going to show you. Now, this is quite easily, it can easily be missed sometimes. And hey, even sometimes us veterans tend to forget to pay this section, like a visit now and then. But as you can click here into the counter case section within the substream section, you will then find a number of things here. So there's about 45 of these counter cases. Now, I'm sure you read the title on the video that you should be doing these. And if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do these. Why exactly? Well, take a look at this. You get a nice set of rewards here, including the unit's unique item, their unique weapon or gear that they have, like one piece of it. Not only that, guys, but you get 3 blue tickets. Now, the older ones, I don't quite remember if they also give you 3 of the blue tickets. However, if so, and they do, guess what, guys? You got 45 of these units to go through, and you'll be getting just about 135 blue tickets. And the blue tickets are used, which is the employee contracts. These are going to be used for summoning your, regular SSR units or even your operator units. So you definitely should be doing these. Definitely do these. These will help you out, especially if you're going to be saving a lot and, you be buying more of these from the daily shops if you're lucky, or doing the world map rewards. Sometimes you'll end up getting these as well, but this is one of the easiest ways to get your employee contracts. Now, aside from that, we're going to be doing a revisit on these cases, and as you know, a lot of these cases are connected to the story. So it's like, I guess you could think of it as like extra fillers from the substreams. It's kind of like the substreams, but it's like extra fillers. So there are a lot of things that wasn't really mentioned, or you could say, like, I guess behind the scenes kind of work type things, where you'll get to see all aspects from all sides and perspectives in that specific section of the story. So it's kind of an interesting thing with those. Definitely recommend reading these. It definitely tells you a lot. It gives you a lot of context on there. Now, also too, there is an important thing to these cases as well, because the counter cases sometimes can predict awakened units. Yeah, it can sometimes predict like what awakened unit will be possible, or is going, or might show up within the future, like in the future and all that stuff. But it's quite interesting, and honestly, I think I actually have a few ideas on what unit may get an awakened unit, or they may get a rearm. But we'll get to that a little later. but besides all that, sit back, relax, and we're gonna be going through most of these extra fillers. Gonna try to get to as many as possible in one video. If I can't get through all of them, then we're gonna do another episode of this. But yeah, let's start with the very first one. Now, also too, you guys know how it is already. If I'm gonna talk about anything that's spoiler related, I'm gonna count by 5 seconds, and that'll give you a chance to mute the video. And then once I'm done talking about what I'm talking about of the the other substreams or episodes, then I'm just going to give you guys a signal to unmute the video by doing this. I'm gonna rotate my mouse in a circle, and that gives you guys the signal that you can unmute the video, and then we'll just continue reading on. But yeah, let's do this. First one up, Yumina, Fenrir Squad. So I'm gonna go through all of these, and let's see. The Miss DLC. That's interesting. This person is under observation. Handle the material with care. Okay, so in the beginning, this is basically a like right after you finish a specific section of the first few the first few sections of episode 1, or even like the tutorial. Basically, once you finish like a certain part of the tutorial, you'll start to unlock some of these cases, and those cases will start to, they start to, what's the word I'm looking for? They start to give you more context of what was happening and a little bit more of the behind the scenes type stories. Now, if I remember correctly too, actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna mention that one. I'll let you guys figure it out. See, beta and alpha, it's not exactly an enjoyable experience to spy on people. Okay, so I'm sure you guys, like, as we read on too, I'm sure you guys will start to get the idea on who's sound alpha and who's sound beta. Appropriate compensation. Now, at this time, when Yumina first got recruited, she was 17 years old. Now, as you progress further into the story, I think it's like maybe after a certain part of the story. I think after episode 5, I would like to think, either episode 5 or after episode 6. I think like around that time, a full year has already passed, or like a good portion of it, probably like a year and a few months. And right after that, she becomes 18 years old. So later on, as you grow further into the chapters, it's definitely after it's definitely after episode 5. After episode 5, as you go deeper and deeper into the episodes, Yumina would be around 18 to 19 years old. But when she first started, she was 17. You know what I wonder? I wonder if possible, if like the game will eventually talk about Mina's old employment. So maybe she'll probably run into like some old faces here and there. maybe later on in the future of the game, in the game story or whatnot. But who knows? But I think I would find that interesting to, to have her, like, have people who knew her in the past, and they just see how, how well experienced she's become. Oh, but she was fired, so I doubt that they would even want to see her. They're notorious for paying minimum wage. And 1.3. I think that would be an interesting substream story or something, talking about those two companies. All right, let's start with the second one. Hold on, it's a little loud on my end. All right, there we go. Appendix. Contact testimony. For an uncensored copy, please contact the Intelligence Department. I think they're getting off track. Famous back in school. Interesting. So she might have been one of those quiet, popular girls. Hold on. So, I'm gonna count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you who haven't muted the video, so this is what I find really interesting is around the time when Mina is in school and whatnot, it's like she's being cared for by her sister, which we later on know that it's Tamil. Now the thing is, what's interesting is, like, because of the deal and how the rules are, it's like it's instructed that Tamil can't get near Mina. She's not allowed to. But in the course of the years of when Mina was younger, she was near Mina all the time. Before, she supposedly had that, what's it called, corruption. So I'm guessing that, I don't know, maybe Tamel somehow like warped her memory or something like that, or maybe there was a set of rules that she couldn't do until Mina awakened to her power. So I'm guessing Mina was just a regular person at that time, and she hasn't awakened her powers yet. So I'm guessing the rules will state that Tamel, I guess, like, she can't do anything about it until Mina awakens to her power, and then I'm guessing the rules will begin to shift and change, and the conditions would change. So it probably wasn't the right conditions for Tamel to even cause something. But then again, Tamel did create the game that they're in. So maybe it was just probably against the rules, or maybe she just found it more amusing. Who knows? But I'm sure that they'll explain it a lot more later on, probably. Who knows how many episodes in the future. Ah, Nare. Okay, so review conference. The observation target's resistance is expected in case this material is disclosed. Of financial records, a lot of medical expenses. I wonder about something about. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So from for those of you who didn't mute the video. So from the time that we are investigating Mina, we already know who Mina is, right? So, but then again, I guess, like, when you think about it, when we as the administrator around this time, we're still trying to remember of a lot of things that we haven't, because I guess, like, since we did the whole reset thing, it took us a while to jog our memory and to regain most of our memories and all of that. But the thing is too, I think that we still, like, it's no doubt that we've gotten a large portion of our memories back, right? But I don't think we fully got our memories back. And the reason why I suspect this is because if you guys have looked at the what is it? It was one of the episodes for Felix. When we first saw Felix, we ran into Felix, but it's kind of interesting because it kind of implies that she looks familiar to us, but at the same time, it's like we don't really remember. So I'm guessing there might be still some parts. It's a theory. I could be wrong about this. Like we probably just got all our memories back, and we just, you know, we just have a brain fart here and there. You know, we like, oh yeah, well yeah, I don't remember you. Oh wait, oh you're from here. You're from this place. You know, it could be one of those. But I do suspect that there may be some things that we don't yet remember yet, or maybe so, but it just seems that we as the administrator didn't recognize who Felix was, even though Felix was one of our like captains in the what's it called? She was one of our I keep forgetting the name of it, but she was one of our commanders. She was one of our commanders, if I remember correctly, in the old administration. So Felix was part of the old administration as one of the people. So it's kind of interesting that we probably don't remember her or recognize her, or maybe we do and we're just what's the word I'm looking for? Like just going through the paces, just dancing around the idea of who this person could be, or dancing around the past in a way. Oh, wait a minute, too. That's yeah. Actually, hold on 1 second, too. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot one more thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I find this interesting though. Like how they mention Mina's sister, and then in a way, it's like we don't know on who exactly is Mina's sister, but it's like in a way it's like we should know or we didn't think to try to take a look at what's over there. But then again, it probably was some behind the scenes things, and us as the administrator, we probably did know, and we're probably just wondering why exactly is Mina's sister is comatose on there. Kind of an odd thing, but in a way it's like it feels like I think that there is like some plot holes into it, or maybe it's just something that it just doesn't want to mention it to us because maybe there's some importance to this. Maybe there's a reason why Tamel is like comatose that way, and maybe there's a reason why she gave Mina the Wolf's Bane and the Watch, which then leads to Mina awakening to her powers. It's kind of interesting. An incident that wouldn't occur inside a stabilized, rebuilt city. Ah, interesting. The mastermind behind this incident really has a bad taste. When you think about it, that kind of explains why that incident happened there, just because of someone's bad taste. Or what you could say too is someone's sick sense of humor. Okay, video recording. A reconstruction based on the internal surveillance system records. The same black outfit. This is coming from the guy who's always wearing a black jacket and black gloves. I wonder, Jushiyun, will you explain that? Is that your only outfit? Well, there you go, guys. Some more small lore to Yumina. Ah, good point, Mina. Oh, there you go. He answered it. He has about 20 of these at home, guys. She is speechless. Yo, guys. She's a gamer girl. Confirmed. One of us. One of us. She's a gamer. Just like us. Wait, hold up. Living in a room filled with trash. Oh man. Yushiyun, I think you just, I don't know, man. I got no comment. God damn. Those words must have sting. Okay, so data renewal. Viewing of this file by unauthorized personnel is subject to severe punishment. Defector was directly extracted with the old administration's extractor core. Scoundrel. I'm sure you guys know exactly who that is, for those of you who have read through the story. A certain little commander must have been infuriated. Hold on. Perhaps might even make their move. Huh. There's probably two people that they're probably talking about, or two factions that they're talking about. One of them, I think it might be them, only because this section right here was mentioned, in where the little commander is infuriated. And I mean, if you think about it, there's only few that could get on the nerves of this individual. Oh, wait a minute. About the relationship between her and... Yeah, okay, I know exactly what this might be. Okay, so hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for those of you who didn't mute the video, I think that she's talking about her and her sister, which is Tamel, and she did have questions at that certain point when, you know, when we reached that certain point in the Clyfoth games. After it's done, she did have questions even after it in the other episodes. She had a lot of questions on who her sister is and what's the relationship between the two. Something pretty interesting. And also too, like, when explaining, like, you know, for the little commander, which I think it's Hilde, But I think when they're talking about the extraction of the factor, that might have been the case where Na Yubin was the one who used the extractor to trigger something within Yumina, which then pissed off Hilde. And I'm thinking that she's afraid that maybe it was going to accelerate the, like, I guess you could say, like, the tech level of that world. And in accelerating Yumina's power, will start to accelerate the fall from happening, which then begins the Clyfoth game a lot sooner than expected. But I think that that's what she was worried about, besides her trying to, go out of her way to protect Yumina. We should repay our friend. A mutual friend. Ah, there we go. The commander of the second squad. And plot the scheme you did. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So in one of the schemes, I think you guys remember this. So this was probably during the time of the replacer incident. So this is probably before Seo Yoon does the betrayal. And so that's one of the main reasons why he wanted to bring in the second commander. Send her to the amusement park. Oh, okay. So this is a part of the section. Okay, so I know where this is gonna go. So here, I'm gonna give you guys a chance to mute the video just in case. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is this is like the this was when she had to fight her best friend, which was Nare, which is also known as Replacer Bishop. And this is exactly when Replacer Bishop gets killed by Shaolin. So Shaolin ends up killing Replacer Bishop, and then this trauma starts to put Yumina in a shock. And so in order to try and relieve the intense stress that she was feeling mentally, they decided to try and send her off to an amusement park, because at that point she just didn't want to think about anything, and she just kept doing mercenary missions constantly. She just kept killing CEOs constantly, in a way as trying to work her frustrations out, but it really wasn't helping out as much. And so what they ended up doing too is, this is probably why they sent Ju Shi-yoon over there as well, because Ju Shi-yoon is there to keep an eye on her, to make sure she doesn't do something reckless. And there you go. Yumina's case study has been completed. So it's like some really interesting stuff where it's extra fillers from specific episodes, and it just tells you a little bit more about that character and the situation that they were dealing with. Of course, the game always tends to respect the, I guess, the element of surprise in a way, where it likes to build up more suspense, and by blocking out specific information. But as you read on, and then you tend to do like a recap or a revisit within the story and seeing these cases, you'll start to understand what was what, and you'll start filling in the blanks of what was redacted. So now we're gonna go with Hilde, Fenrir Squad's commander. Let's see, veteran counter. This person's under observation, handling the material with care. Ah, yep. So, as you can see from here, like in this type of things that they're talking about here, it is in a substream. So, if you guys are curious about it on what Sound Beta is talking about, it is definitely in one of the substreams. I believe it is called what is it called? It's called the administration failure. So if you haven't seen that substream before, I recommend that you guys read into that one. Pretty intense stuff, and it does answer a few questions and gives you some more context as to what this individual is talking about. It's funny how they're blocking this off too. She's surprisingly obsessive when it comes to things like that. It's about time she let her past go. So in this section right here, you got like all of you that are looking at this, you guys have already gone past this quest before, this mission. It's basically they're talking about a little bit about what happened in the tutorial mission when when the coffin company was instructed to collect the VIP, which was Machine Gap. Okay, so contact testimony. Make sure the informant's identifications remains undisclosed. An anti-aging cream made with Eternium. Of course he made it up. I am curious though about Hilde's origin though. I mean, later on in the story, they do talk about, a little bit more about her past, but I want to know even more about that. Want to know what it like, whatever she is or whatever titles that she have. I want to know more about that. Coffin's slaughtering witch. There you go, guys. They mention it even here as well. The witch. A dual sword. Their morality rate is far below the industry average. Probably. Review conference. Viewing of this file by unauthorized personnel is subject to severe punishment. Indeed. Ah, a Valkyrie from Legends. Speaking of Legends. From Legends. So it's a Legends on who a Valkyrie is. But she is a Valkyrie. I want to know, like, what is a Valkyrie in this universe? In the CounterSide universe, what is a Valkyrie? Actually, you know, I do have a few theories about something though. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you who haven't muted the video, so for the Valkyries, I really do think that maybe the Valkyries could have some type of relation to the divinity of, you know, the other gods, like the other type of gods. I forget what their names are, but they become hollow gods. And Tamel, she used the tree of Sephiroth. She used that to corrupt those beings, those divine beings. So what if in a way, oh, you know what? I just got something even more crazy. What if those divinities, those hollow gods that she twisted, what if those could be the Valkyries? And what if, in a way, Tamel is was a Valkyrie herself, and then became a demon lord? But you know what I also suspect as well? Like, I know that they say that Hilde is a Valkyrie, but I've always had this theory from, I think, from as long as I can remember, about when I started, like the first few months when I started the game and I started like reading the story of the game. I always had this type of feeling and opinion that theory that possibly Hilde could be like one of those undercover demon lords, where Hilde, because we know that, you know, later on we know that Hilde has a second form, right? And later on when we see like where her power was, when, you know, during the Solavi story, and how powerful she actually can be, what if that could be one of those things where maybe she's not a demon lord, but maybe she has one of those purifying type of powers that's equal to, or maybe even stronger than a demon lord. So maybe it could be one of those unique divine type powers, kind of like what Asclesia has, where Asclesia has defeated a demon lord even though she wasn't an antagonist, but she had this special ability where people who cheer her on, the more people that believe in her, the more people that have faith in her, makes her stronger, which goes beyond the level of a god. So that could be one of those things, or maybe too, this could be one of those things where Hilde could be a special type of demon lord. Or what could happen too, right, is, you remember how Rosaria always says that you are the only one who could defeat me, who could stop me. So in a way, even though Hilde is a Valkyrie, perhaps she kind of could be one of those like one of those special type of antagonists. But I mean, we all know what would happen to the result of an antagonist who lost their world and failed to protect the world that they were assigned to. You know, they eventually begin to be stuck within the CounterSide, and also, you know, they also become hollow gods themselves eventually. But certain circumstances show that too is not always the case. Because I mean, I still believe that in that old different dimension area, I believe that Amy was an antagonist for her world, but somehow she ended up in another dimensional world, but she didn't turn into a hollow god, which is kind of insane. But I do believe that Amy was an antagonist there. And I mean, in certain cases, you could see that an antagonist can leave their world, you know, in going into other dimensions, either by becoming an apostle or, you know, maybe through some other means. So there is a possibility of something like that happening, because I believe that, in my theory, that all of Six Wings organization is a group of antagonists who came together. You know, they all came together as a team, and you know, they're under Nayubin's leadership, because I don't think that any one of them are a part of that world. And obviously, you know, people from the old administration is not a part of that present world that's there. So then that would also mean that, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, that would mean that, you know, Lee Jisoo is not part of that world either. And I mean, it kind of makes sense, because when you look at Swans was from a different world. Amy, and now it's already been confirmed that Amy was also from a different world. So then Lee Jisoo, obviously it has to be from a different world, which I do want to know more about her history, because that eye of hers is quite interesting. Ah, okay. So if you guys are interested in what they may be talking about on here, I think it has something to do with this. Actually, might be it's actually one of the mainstream episodes, I think. Yeah, it might actually. Yeah, that it's the mainstream episode. So you guys will end up getting there eventually, and they'll talk more about that. But I'm going to count down to 5 seconds though. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For those of you who didn't mute the video, so what they were talking about here is that this is the dragon blood factor. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys know from there what happened to his parents, where they couldn't control the dragon's blood, so they ended up having to get killed. Otherwise, they would have just started slaughtering everybody that they see. End up, in a whole entire berserk state. Now, it's really interesting because the dragon's blood goes all the way back to where the Knights of Redemption was at, because I think it was supposed to be like a royal blood type thing, which Clarith had, he had use of it and knew how to utilize it, because it was part of royalty. But it makes me think too, right, that in certain circumstances, if things were probably different, that when you think about it, Zhu Xiyun probably could have, been royalty, or would be considered royalty because of the dragon's blood that he has. Hell, even the original person who had the dragon's blood, who wanted to do the crazy experiment, which us as the administrator had considered that person to be a fool, but later on it turned out that his sacrifice actually did come into fruition, because it ended up creating one of the ultimate beings, a person who can completely control the dragon's blood, which is in this case Zhu Xiyun. I love how it all starts to connect and starts to make sense now. You start filling in all the blanks and whatnot. It's pretty interesting stuff. Nah, the tension. Yep. Indecisive. Okay, so video recording, a reconstruction based on the internal surveillance. Oh no, Hilde, you're not writing this with 2 fingers, are you? You're not typing this up? Okay, you are typing it up, but you don't know how. Oh man. Oh no. You're not tech savvy, are you? God damn, Mina. Like, oh, you really are old. I want something expensive. Yeah, how do you do that? All right. It's not because he's watching all the time, huh? That's not important, bro. Reminiscing the past, huh, Hilde? Data renewal will be disclosed under instructions of Alpha Admin. The last Valkyrie. Ah, to gather all the important information that's left about Hilde, only to remove it. So hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for those of you who didn't mute it, so in a way, this is kind of interesting, where because like at this time we're still like pretty new, and we're starting to understand exactly what our role is as the as the president for Coffin Company. But then later on, we begin to know that okay, we are the administrator. So it kind of shows that we're unsure of, us as the reader. We're unsure as to what type of person are we. Like, are we the villain, or are we like a hero, or just maybe in between where we're just gray? And it's just like I find it fascinating where we can be a kind individual, but also we can be just as ruthless as we need to be. So in a way, it's kind of like the world kind of view us as the villain, even though we have saved the world, multiple times, or save a few cities here and there before the actual end were to occur. But it kind of shows right here too that if we needed to dispose of someone, we would just do it. And we would do whatever is necessary in order to improve our calculations. But I also think that too, that us as the administrator, we there's just certain things that we're just not willing to do or willing to pull the trigger on. And maybe it's because we just maybe not have the fortitude to do it, or we don't see what's the word I'm looking for? We don't see we don't really see an alternative or anything that could fit into the calculations, I'm guessing. Which I think that's where some other people come into play, like Sysop or Veronica from the maids service. That these individuals can go forward and to accomplish something that we probably weren't meant to accomplish. So that's probably why we didn't see any reason to pull the trigger on certain things, just because we're just not the person to achieve that. But showing it here is that we are capable of a lot of things, but also there are specific things that we just aren't capable of doing that we can't do alone, which means, you know, it's a pretty nice lesson from there, where you can't do everything alone, because sometimes now and then you're gonna need a little bit of assistance, even from unexpected allies. Oh, and I want to check something real quick. All right. Really? Past records were not disclosed even during her days within the... I'm sure most of you know exactly what that is. But that's really interesting, though, if that's the case. Which I think... I think that we would know more than what is being led on. The ultimate counter who appeared during the early days of... Okay, hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, what I'm thinking of, right? For those of you who didn't mute it, what I'm thinking of is this was probably the early days of the Clyfoth games. So maybe there wasn't an administration yet, but the Clyfoth games have always been a thing. And you know, maybe it just ended as more advanced as we got, you know, of course we probably had some type of technology like the gaps that we're using in order to keep doing the resets over and over again, moving from dimension to dimension, which explains what the coffin stuff is for. But that's interesting. She's known as the ultimate counter. You know, in a way, who knows? Maybe she could have been one of the first, or maybe the first. However, there is something interesting that I'm not sure if you guys realized this yet, or if you noticed it, but there was something that I think it has something to do with with a watch or something like that, right? The watch, if you notice that us as the administrator, we have that number, which is number 1. And when we start the administration, when we start, I think it was called the administration failure, then that's when we ended up getting it starts showing exactly what our designated number is. So maybe we're the ones who had the first watch created based off of our what's it called? Based off of our specifications. Yeah. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Specifications, or what we intended for. But that's pretty interesting from here. And then during her days in the administration, so she's in the administration days. So her past was blocked off even then. I think that we know Hilde a lot earlier than that, because I think that she knows us back when we was the Sage. So us and Hilde go way back, even probably before the administration's creation. I definitely would like to know more about the story on that. I thought I did well in placing that information under control. Isn't it weird? Just Valkyrie is fine, but isn't it weird to call her the last Valkyrie? This, which probably implies that there are more than one. But then how many? How many indeed? Last Valkyrie isn't Master's nickname, but it's actually referring to... Okay, so I got a theory about something. And the theory is that that maybe, like, from what Sound Beta is talking about, if the last Valkyrie is not a nickname, then potentially last Valkyrie means it's a group. Holy shit. Hold on. I got a theory on something then. So, you remember the new Awaken that what is it that the devs showed us? Right? Possibly that could be a Valkyrie. Maybe. So maybe that might be an actual... It might be a group name rather than being a nickname. Which, yo, that would be pretty dope. Like, could you imagine that? Where you get to see, like, parts of the, I guess the last remnants of the last Valkyries, or whatever the group is from there. That would be interesting. But you know what? I'm calling it. I'm gonna call it right there. That when they release it during the, I believe it would be like during the anniversary that's coming up, the half anniversary, if I remember correctly. But if when they do bring this individual out, this new Awaken unit out, during the trailers, I think that character could be a Valkyrie. Another one. We just gotta wait and see. It's not how, but when did... Hmm. Blank's suspicions must be correct. There's a few people that I think of around this time, but around this time, at that beginning, there's only one person who I can think of. Well, yeah, there's only one person who I can think of that had suspicions about this. And it makes sense. So hold on. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for those of you who didn't mute it, I think that my suspicions on this is, I think that this is Na Yubin. I think Na Yubin had a suspicion about something, which then, leads to, Lee Soo-yeon that question. Well, that leads to Lee Soo-yeon's conclusion to that situation. I developed this hypothesis based on the data he sent me. What did I say, guys? Huh? Interesting stuff. What did I say? Okay. He had been missing for a while, and he said it suddenly appeared out of nowhere. This is funny. Okay, hold on. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you that didn't mute it, so this is kind of funny because he says, I wonder when he had the time to do the research. So around this time, I think that this is where, we as the administrators still has our memory, like we don't have all of our memories intact yet. All of it hasn't returned yet, but it's on the verge of returning. Hence, this is probably why we're doing like a lot of these investigations as well. But I mean, when you have the administration, you always get information on people, so it's just a habit of things. But in this particular case, where he says, like, I wonder when he had the time to do the research, basically, he pretty much had all the time to do it because we, as the administrator, gave him like high clearance level access as like like as an underling person, as if he was part of the other administrators who who controls like the different sectors, and we pretty much gave him high clearance of that to look into the databases to learn about everything on what has transpired and what was happening. Now, the reason why we did this is because we understood that he is the antagonist. And believe it or not, it's kind of funny too, because I forget exactly which substream it's mentioned, or maybe it's mentioned within the main episodes. But Na Yubin, we offered to give Na Yubin access to learn all the information on what was happening, Clyfoth games, antagonists, demon lords, and whatnot, all the top secret stuff. And the reason for the resets. Now, Na Yubin, back in those days, he was still a little bit naive in a way, still smart but a little naive. But he declined us. He didn't want the access. He didn't want to become a a part of the administration committee things of the councils, as being one of the seniors, one of the senior administrators. He didn't want to be any of that, so he declined and then he left. But the thing is, knowing us, we know exactly what he is, and he needs to see the truth in order to be able to make his own decisions, thus playing into our plan, because in case our plan fails, we know that he has his plan and the deal that we made with him. So it really explains a lot, where even though he denied us, he denied the offer that we was giving him, we ended up giving him clearance anyway. So by the time he got to like one of the databases, or one of the access security doors, he found that he already had access to it because we gave it to him anyway, because there were some things that he needed to see. Hence why he started to build his plan on how he's going to take down the demon lords. And I think that this is where he starts to realize that he is the antagonist of that world. I definitely would like to know more on the Six Wings story. They gotta make a sub-stream of that. Maybe it'll have something to do with another Six Wings member, a member that we don't even know of yet. Because for all we know, there could be hundreds of them, hundreds of Six Wings members in there. But can you imagine that? Hundreds of them? That's like hundreds of Awakens. And so far, what we know of, Six Wings is full of Awakened units. They're just Awakens in that squad. That's pretty strong as hell. Interesting. Whatever he does, I don't have any means to stop him. All I can do is wait. Hilde, you already know that is not her real name, don't you? Oh man, what? Hold on, let me see if I can remember this. No, they never talk about her real name. Her real name is... What could her real name be? And it needs to be, it probably has to be something of legend. Who knows? Maybe there's like a legend maybe on if, what was the name of the first Valkyrie? Probably of legend and whatnot. I wonder what could her name be? I probably would have to read through the mainstream stories again, and maybe I could get some type of idea. Maybe they left a little bit of clues that I probably missed. Scavenger hunt for information. Or scavenger hunt for lore. But yeah, this is... I wonder, what is her real name? You know what you know what? So I got an idea or something, right? Actually, you know what? Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, for those of you who didn't mute the video. So, what I'm thinking of is, so we know that Hilde has a second form that she was trying to activate, right? A hidden code. So maybe it might be a possibility that when the time comes and Hilde acquires or regains this second code power where she unleashes her full power, I think that that's where she gets her second awakening. So you guys should suspect, or should expect maybe, that possibly there's a good chance that Hilde will get another awakened form, and this awakened form will be something that's more aggressive in nature, which is going to be the striker form. So you see how her form is as a striker? So maybe her true form will also be a striker, and this is where she unleashes her full power and whatnot. So I'm calling it right here. If Hilde gets another form of an awakening, it's definitely going to be a striker class. Clip it and ship it. I'll be looking for your next report. There you go, and this is Hilde's counter case study, or counter case story filler. Oh man, I was expecting to go through at least 3, but these 2 it took up a lot longer than what I expected. I didn't expect it to go that long, because just there's just so much that's connected to these stories, and it's so much that you could just fill in the story, like you could just fill in the information on, and it just starts to expand to an even broader view of things. It's just crazy. But yeah, so the next episode of the Counter Case recap, we're gonna be going through Jushiyun, Seoyun, and maybe, if we're lucky, if we have enough time, it'll be Eugen. Eugen is a really interesting story. These 2 have pretty interesting stories as well, which I suspect that this may take another bit of time, especially with all the analysis that I'm doing from this. But yeah, these 2 have very interesting stories, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that'll be it for that first episode from there. Yeah, there's so much. There's so much to know of, and they mentioned certain things in the beginning, which they probably still to this day they haven't really answered anything on there. Maybe they have, but even if they didn't, I'm sure that we'll learn of it soon enough. Who knows? Maybe in the next episode 14. But yeah, that'll be it for this video right here, guys. Also, I do have some other videos set on the playlist that you guys can check out on. I'll have the links in the description, so feel free to check that out. I also have a music channel that you can check out too. And I also do have a shorts channel, a gaming shorts channel. So far I've been posting some new shorts videos here and there. I will have it in the description at the bottom. But yeah, you guys should check it out. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm out of here, guys. Catch you later.